I mean, housing is one of the most important things in people's lives. If we can somehow, through open source and wide collaboration, solve that, I think we'll have done a big deal altogether to make things better.
You're listening to the Corbett Report.
Welcome, friends. This is James Corbett of CorbettReport.com. It is July 2016, and today we have a very special treat for you in the spirit of the open source solutions that I'm often promoting here at CorbettReport.com as a key and integral part of the way forward, finding solutions and answers to the problems rather than simply dwelling on the problems themselves. And today we're going to be talking to a tag team, a husband and wife tag team of Marcin Jakubowski and Katarina Mota. And longtime Corbett Reporteers will remember, I hope, Marcin Jakubowski from episode 222 of my flagship podcast, where we talked about lessons in resistance open source, and I highlighted his presentation, his 2011 presentation, TED Talk, talking about the Global Village Construction Set and open source ecology. Corbett Reporteers with a short-term memory will remember Marcin from my very much more recent reference to open source ecology in the open source solutions video that I did just a few weeks ago. Both of those links will be in the show notes for this video if you need them. And Katarina Mota will be new to Corbett Reporteers, so we'll introduce her and her idea, the Open Building Institute, which perhaps is the other piece of the puzzle or the next step of the open source ecology idea, but I'll let them explain that for you guys out there. So first of all, thank you very much for coming on the program. And Katarina, Marcin, perhaps you can explain how the Open Building Institute came about.
Okay, thank you, James.
Thank you for having us.
Take it away.
Okay, so the Open Building Institute is a relatively new project we just launched, but it's been in the work for a few years. It's actually been in the work for about a decade, but if you want to keep it short, I think that it started to take shape 2 years ago, or approximately 2 years ago, when Marcin and I got married and we moved to his farm in rural Missouri and realized that the house we had here was too small for 2 people. So we had a few requirements as to what kind of house we wanted. We wanted to be able to expand as we grow rather than having to choose between a very small house that will stay small forever or a huge house that would get us in debt for the rest of our lives. We wanted to be able to use local materials. We wanted for the building to be as sustainable as possible. We wanted it to be affordable. So what we quickly learned by looking around a little bit was that there wasn't one solution that addressed all of these things in one go. So that's how we started building our own house, using these principles and experimenting with different techniques and approaches to see if we could make it work. 2 years later, we actually built a few structures here, including our house that has an attached aquaponic greenhouse. One of our goals is also to be able to produce our own food, to use as much solar energy as we possibly can, preferably passive solar, water catchment, all of that. And at one point throughout all this, we realized, well, we're probably not the only people in the world that have this problem. So that's when the Open Building Institute actually started to become more of a thing. And we've been working for the past 6 months, more than 6 months actually, into taking our own experience and translating it into a toolkit, into a system that others can use, not just us. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Right. So, toolkit. Let's see. Does that kind of frame